There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University, a podcast for college-bound teens and the parents, mentors, and educators who support them. If that is you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon, TEDx speaker, college admission strategist, and author of the book, Be Committed, Get Admitted. Welcome to Destination University. We help high school families successfully navigate the college admission process by helping students create an action plan, become interesting applicants, and write compelling essays that increase acceptance letters. As a former admission officer at Vassar College and an elite private school counselor in Los Angeles, I have coached, mentored, guided, and worked directly with over 10,000 students. I know what it takes to get admitted to top 100 colleges. As my gift to you, I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can get that at drcynthiacolon.com/admit. In the guide, I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review an entire application. I give you the order I read the application, what I was looking for, what I highlighted and took note of. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are made, well, today is your lucky day. Again, go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit. Okay, let's get to today's episode. Your evening with us, we know that you are feeling nervous and stressed because it's the season. So welcome to 4 steps to master the college application process without losing your mind or killing your child. Yes, I know, right? Sounds crazy, but secretly you're thinking about it. Okay, today you're going to learn how to help your child get admitted to their dream college and ultimately change the trajectory of their future. Who is this for? If you're asking, am I in the right place? You are in the right place. This is for parents of 8th grade to 12th grade. You have a can-do success mindset and or of course your child does as well. But either way, you are a dream builder. These are some of our families who have been with us before, and those are the moms. It's usually the moms and dads who champion their children's dreams, just like you do. So in a minute, I'll ask you to type into the chat if you're a 1, a 2, or a 3. So if you are a 1, you have a rock star student who's done all the right things and they have big dreams and they're just now ready to reach the next level. And you're thinking, shoot, how am I going to help them get to the next and final finish line? Well, it's not the final finish line, right? The next finish line is just the starting line for the next thing. So you might be a 1, like these young women. You might be a 2. You have a student who's a solid B+, maybe an A- student who needs expert advice to reach the next level. There are certainly colleges, top 100 colleges, that they would be eligible for. And so you're thinking, shoot, how do I help my child just get admitted to the best college possible for them? Or you might be a 3. Now, I'll share with you what happened to these 2 students later, but these are 2 students that always represent for me students who, so on the left here, we have Cosette, who was rejected by every institution when she applied as a traditional senior in high school. So you might know a family that has happened to, which is what Miles' mom here on my right, she knew of a family friend that, when Miles was a sophomore, the family friend had been practically denied almost everywhere. And she thought, I don't want that to happen to my son. So she made a plan right then and there. So just type into the chat right now. Are you a 1, 2, or 3? So you have 1, you have a rock star, like, they're applying Ivies and you're like, I just need help. Like, how do we do that? You might have a solid B+ A-minus student, and you know they need just a little bit of a kick in the pants because they have to believe that they can also achieve big dreams. Or you're just worried and you just like, I just need help. I don't want that to happen to my child. So type into the chat so I know who's in the house. Okay, 1, 2, or 3. Let's see. But what? I love it. Oh, oh my God, that is the funniest thing. Faye, that's funny. 2, 1, hearing horror. Yep, hearing horror stories. Yes. Okay. Awesome. All right. Okay, good. You guys are definitely in the right place. All right. I'm going to get you what you need today. Okay. If you have a child that's going directly to community college or who's applying to colleges that don't require essays, this session is not for you. So no worries if you need to bow out, not to worry. But it sounds like all of you are found the right place. Okay. Quick story, because who doesn't love their mom who championed their dreams? Hello. So this is us when we were younger. My mom's a pretty young mom, thanks to me. But basically, the story is this. My mom is one of 12 children. She had 9, there were 9 girls and 3 boys. And when she grew up, she had to share a room, quite frankly, with several of her siblings. And she had a good friend who was down the road, Sheila. And she remembers growing up and seeing Sheila. And Sheila had her own bedroom. Sheila had a pool in the backyard. Sheila had matching red shoes and a red coat. And my mom was like, I want that. I want that. I want to go to college. I want to get out of here. I never want to have to share a bedroom ever again. So she comes home, she finds a way to apply to college, and she gets admitted to 2 colleges. And she comes home and she's like, look, mom, she's super excited to share the news. And her mom dead looks at her dead in the face and says in Spanish, like, why are you so excited? You're just going to get married and pregnant. And it dashed her dreams. Like, kids remember everything you say. That scarred my mother forever. She did go to college, community college. She didn't go to a 4-year. She started, she finished, she never finished. She got pregnant with me, self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So just be aware of your words, especially right now. Those of you who have seniors right now, they're 45, 60, or 90 days away from applying to college. They're stressed out, even if they don't share it, or even if it doesn't look like they're stressed out. So just be really careful with your words and just be all encouraging as you know, as much as you can be, because that's what they need at this point. Thank goodness my mom shared with this man, the Santa Claus looking man, Mr. Raul Vargas. My mom was a banker. She was probably at a Rotary meeting and he was there sitting next to her. My mom is just the type to introduce herself to everybody. That's probably where I get it from. And so the person next to her was this Mr. Vargas, and she was sharing with him my dream. And he said, I work at USC. Here's my card. And when you're ready, you know, I'll help you. So thank goodness she held on to that, because I probably, like most teenagers now that are seniors, I became really paralyzed. I was so excited. Like, I couldn't wait to apply to college, and maybe even I wanted to go to USC, but if I didn't get into USC, I wanted to go to Arizona. I wanted to leave the state, but I became so paralyzed. I was procrastinating, and my mom didn't know what was happening to me, but she was like, oh no, history is not going to repeat itself. I'm going to get you the help you need. So she had the courage to call him up and say, I met you 2 years ago. Can we come? He said yes. And the 2 of them changed my life forever, just by asking for help and taking advantage of the information he provided. That's it. She was my first guest on my podcast in 2018 because, you know, she's a rock star. So this is fast forward, this is me now. And thank goodness they put me on this trajectory. It totally changed my life. And so the best thing about my journey in becoming, in my opinion, the Mr. Raul Vargas for other people and other public and Catholic school and students, and certainly we have private school students all across the country. So this has been a wonderful journey, but I will tell you one of the best things that I did. So I worked at Vassar College in admissions, and while working there, probably because it's one of the most elite colleges in the oldest and one of the elite colleges in the country with the Ivies and the Seven Sisters. So I was invited to be one of the first readers of the Gates Millennium Scholarship. And if you're unfamiliar, it's a full scholarship. I don't think they have it anymore exactly, but Anyway, they flew us out to San Francisco. We stayed in a hotel and we had to walk over to this office building that had a bank of computers. So this is pre-laptops, I guess. That's how old I am. So we went, and I distinctly remember reading applications from amazing students across the country. And on the application, there was a space for them to tell us where they were applying to college. And I just remember thinking, wow, I don't like this student and this student and this student should be applying to some of the schools that I was familiar with, the Ivy and the Seven Sister Schools. And I thought, wow, so many students don't have the information they need that could help change the trajectory of their life if they just applied and dreamed a little bit bigger. Maybe they don't even know that they could dream that big. So from working at Vassar and being part of the Ivy and Seven Sister group, I'm part of this organization that you can't buy membership to, but that's us at the 50th anniversary. And so I've been trained and mentored and guided by other seasoned veteran admission folks from the Ivy and sister institutions. So it's an honor and a blessing to be part of that group. One of the things I've really questioned, I'm a first generation to college student myself, as you know. My mom is an immigrant mother. What she was able to do changed my life. And so I've really thought about, what does it mean? Why is it important to families, parents like yourself and your children, to attempt to be admitted to these top 100 colleges? Now, top 100 colleges, by the way, are schools that admit under 30%. But here's a little bit of my story. I go to USC. As I said, it wasn't that competitive when I was admitted. I certainly wasn't the most competitive applicant. I was no presidential scholar. But I went to USC with the anticipation of becoming something better than I already was. I was a leader in high school and all of those things. But at USC, I thought I could become something bigger, better. I didn't know what that was. Well, by the time I graduated, I was one of 30 students graduating from all of USC to be inducted to a secret honor society. And this is the society we meet once a year for breakfast. And I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you one of the reasons that people chase these kinds of dreams. Now I sit next to Heisman Trophy winners, and the people who are inducted into this society are the movers and the shakers of USC. So there I go, just a first generation young girl from Bellflower to USC. And by the choices I make of the friends I hang with, it changes my life forever. And that's really what you're here and thinking about. This is Jonna, one of the students we worked with a couple of years ago. And she made this decision. The mom made the decision to help her get what she wanted. She always dreamed of going to a Harvard or Yale or Princeton, some top school. And her mom had done enough, all that she could, but didn't know how to sort of get her from the seventh inning to the end of the road. So there is Jonna when she was admitted. Just as a reminder, this is a dream worth chasing because of all the things I've said just now about what it means to sort of be around and surround yourself with other great people. But people do this all the time, right? I'm a big England and fan of all things England, but there is a story that Kate Middleton's mom knew that Prince William's had decided to go to St. Andrews, and she just basically tried to steer her daughter to get there, just to have an opportunity to meet him, right? So, you know the rest of the story. So there you go. What I've been doing is I've been an anthropologist and a sociologist of college admissions. It's been interesting to me to understand how all of this works and why this is so important, why it changed my life, and why it can change others. So I've cracked the code. It's taken me 17 years. Most of you don't have 17 weeks. So I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. So you're welcome in advance. This is some of our students that we've worked with over the many, many years, and they come from all the states, most of the states across the country. And I like to say we've been Zooming since before Zooming was a verb. Okay, so are you ready to help change the trajectory of your child's life? Are you ready for the Cliff Notes version? Type of number 1 in the chat if you're ready to rock and roll. All right, let me just see. Oh, okay, I see them coming in. Okay, are you ready to rock and roll? This is going to be the best. Oh, I don't see you. Okay, I see you coming in. Okay, good. All right, guys, here we go. Whew, breathe. One of you said you're stressed. I know, I know. So just breathe. It's a lot of information. So all you have to do is listen, learn, take action. You are a dream builder. So just breathe. Okay. We're going to break this up into 4 sections, actually, really 3. The last one is just fun, cake and ice cream. But the framework, there are 4 steps in this signature framework that I've worked out. If you have my book, great, you can follow along and you can sort of make note of what to do later, or you can get the book as well. But the first section is really the academic plan. That's the first main framework that you want to follow. I'll do a little bit today, but a deep dive in chapters 1 and 2. Then there's the resume plan, which goes deep dive into chapters 3 and 4. The application plan is laid out for you one by one in chapter 6. And then there's a celebration plan, which I give you insiders scoop on different students who were waitlisted, admitted, dream college, not dream college, all of the things. It's a really fun chapter. So we're going to start with the application plan, step 1. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I'm Gen X. Yes, I did have big hair. Yes, I did graduate in the early 90s. So back then, you know, I rolled out of bed, took the SAT one time, applied to 5 colleges, got into all of them. Like that was it. It was that easy. Now it was still frightening to me at the time, but like it's easy. Looking back, I'm like, wow, where did those days go? Today, that is not a plan. That's not a good plan at all. And that's not a plan that's going to work. You can't roll out of bed and go, I think I'll apply to Dartmouth. No. So the only thing I can relate it to is there after I graduated from Teachers College at Columbia, which is their school of education, I was bound and determined. I was like, I'm going to be the director. I'm going to get a big job. So I applied to be the director of residential life at Caltech, straight out of graduate school. I can giggle at myself. But okay, so I definitely didn't get the job, nor did I even get an interview. But I asked for feedback and someone was kind enough to share with me. But bottom line was I needed to look at the job description. What are the requirements? What are the skills I needed? What are like other jobs that I would need to sort of have that stepping stone so that I can have a plan to eventually get there and apply 5 years or 8 years later. The same is true for college. For applying to college, you really do have to have a plan. I know many of you have seniors, and so if you're just making a plan now, okay, that's fine. Obviously, it would have been better to start earlier, but today I'm going to get you caught up, okay? All right. So the academic plan works like this. There are 3 components of the academic plan. First, you must know what the goal is. Okay, what is the 4-year goal if you're a freshman or sophomore? What's the college goal? Then you need to figure out what is needed to open that door. In other words, what are the requirements of that job? Like I said, I wasn't qualified for it. I need to do the homework on the front end to know what I need to get on the back end. Okay, so you need 4 numbers, 4 quantitative numbers. You need to know what is the GPA, weighted GPA, unweighted GPA. You need to know the rank. Where does your child rank among their peers at their high school? You might be thinking, well, they don't do rank at our school. Well, figure it out, do what you can. You have to try and get somewhat close to that number because I'll tell you what, the colleges figure it out on their own, okay? So GPA, rank, how many honors and AP courses did he or she take among how many were offered? IB is included in that. And then the final step is test scores. I know most colleges are still test optional, but the test scores is the final quantitative piece. Those are your 4 quantitative numbers, okay? So you need to know those numbers on your end, and you also need to know the average numbers on the college end. And once you have that decision and those numbers, then you can backwards engineer an academic plan, okay? So you go see your counselor, you go figure it out. Again, if you're a senior, that piece is done, okay? Now, here's what I want to tell you. You want to do this. You want to Google the name of your high school plus the word school profile. I give you an example here, Palo Alto High School school profile. I won't go into detail now. I've done this. You can find a podcast on it. I've done it a million times. I think it's episode 193 and 196, but you need the school profile to help you know those numbers that I just told you, those 4 quantifiable numbers, okay? All right, let's move on to the resume plan. Resume plan is one of the favorite things. I love to talk about the resume plan. Okay, so here's Vassar. It's a gorgeous campus, by the way. I've been to visit probably 300 college campuses, and this is still one of the most beautiful campuses. So I write here the gender advantage and disadvantage. It's really more a note to remind myself what to tell you. But if you're wondering, yes, Vassar is one of those colleges, liberal arts colleges, that has a disproportionate number of female applicants versus male applicants. So the males do have a slight advantage at Vassar in the admissions process. The same would be true on the opposite side for like MIT or Caltech or Carnegie Mellon. They have the other way. So there are ways you can find out all of this information, but I'm saying this because once I was working at Vassar, I was curious because at the top of our blank sheet, when we would read application, when I would read applications, there was a blank sheet at the very front. It's now on computer. But at the top of the sheet, it was a blank line. And if the applicant was the student body president, editor-in-chief, team captain of a major sport on campus, a Girl Scout Gold Award, or an Eagle Scout, or the 5th category would be like if they were a state or national champion, or curing cancer or something like that, okay? So only that was reserved. I called it the line for 5. Only if those applicants were one of those things would it go at the top, okay? So I started recognizing that more and more for girls, they definitely almost always needed to have some kind of extra leadership thing, right? Not to say it wasn't true for boys too, but it was just a little bit disproportionate. So I just got curious. I got curious, like, how can I apply that to other students? So the resume plan that I've developed is what I call the ABC route. So the first step is really to explore and experiment in the 9th grade. Okay, that's easy. But it really comes down to A, what brings joy to your child? What would they do, whether they were paid to do it or didn't get a grade to do it, like just would do it. Okay, so that's A. The B is what kind of major or interest do they have? What's the kind of career path that they're thinking about now? It doesn't have to be the end all, but what are they thinking about now? So A plus B equals C, which is your coolness factor. So if you can merge A with B, you're going to get a coolness factor. I'll give you some examples, but there you go. Okay, so just know this is the framework for step 2. Here's the chart I developed. After I did my TEDx talk in October of 2023, I had done a little bit of this in the talk, but this is actually more fleshed out. So it's some good information in the TEDx talk, but this is where it boils down to. Level 1 of school involvement, clubs, sports, community service, like those are the typical things. Probably 98% of the students who are applying to 4-year institutions will have one of those. That's not going to help you stand out. School leadership level 2 is a little bit of what I was just talking about. Student body president, editor-in-chief, team captain, something like that would be like a school leadership. Maybe the team won CIF or the mock trial team won some regional awards. Something like that would be 12 to 15% of the student population applying to 4-year colleges. Then we get to 10%. That's the coolness factor. For us, our campers and our private clients at minimum reach the coolness factor. I'll give you an example. It's having a part-time job. It's knowing multiple languages. It's, you run an Etsy store. You create content for social media. You're an elite athlete in the club volleyball team or something like that. The coolness factor is really something that you do just because you love to do it, right? A plus B equals C, okay? All right, I'll give you some examples too. So we're gonna move on. I'll show you 4 and 5 in the next slide and then some other examples. Okay, so here's Alexis. Alexis meets all 5 of the criteria. So I'll just pick up at level 3. She's on the dance team at her school. She's in college now. And they've won the national title like twice, I want to say, once she was a student there. Then her level 4 is her gold award project. Now her gold award project happens to also meet the criteria for level 5. So her project is a 6-part podcast series on immigration law. She interviews lawyers. She does all the research to prepare for this 6-part mini series. So that's what gets it to level 5. Now, let's go back to level 4, because most students can reach level 4 pretty easily, but they just don't know what to do. So level 4, I've adopted as the impact project, but I adopted after the Girl Scout Gold Award. I'm not sure if the Eagle Scout is the same or similar, but the Gold Award says 3 things. So this is the 3 criteria. You want to write this down. The first criteria is that the student solve a problem. The second is that they solve a problem for a community they're passionate about. And the third is doing 80 hours or more. Okay. So for Alexis, solving a problem, people need more information on how to navigate the immigration process. Okay. 2, her father is an immigrant and a successful one. And so that's a community she's passionate about. And 3, she put in well over 100 hours in this project. Okay. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. Okay. That easy. Here's a couple other level 4s. These are also girls. They happen to be Girl Scout Gold Award winners. So I'll just tell you, Julia cataloged every costume piece for her school theater department. There were thousands of pieces. And that's what she did. Okay. And then Jalen wrote a children's book on environmental effects on sea animals. Okay. Amazing things. Okay. And then here, Esteban is a level 3 because he just loves baseball and he wants to go into business and whatnot. So he basically knows every baseball fact known to man, and he wants to be the GM of the Yankees one day. So he does all things sort of business combined with like knowing everything about baseball. Okay, so he has a simple, good coolness factor that we wove into his application throughout the application, and which made sense. Put all these things together. Okay, so your to-do is to find the C factor. Moving on to number 3, the application plan. Just on time. Good. Okay. The application plan is where we'll spend a little bit of more time because many of you are seniors. Okay. I hope that's okay. Okay. So you may want to write this down. There are 4 steps to the application to get it right. Let me say that differently. There are 4 steps to creating a compelling application. Okay. So you want to curate the right list of colleges. You want to clearly communicate the involvement and leadership. You need to connect the dots, and you need to create compelling essays. Okay, let me break these down for you. Okay. I'm going to start with this story about the Wall Street Journal girl. I talk about her quite a bit, and I think she's the star of episode 196. So a few years ago, the Wall Street Journal ran this article. You can Google it, you can find it. And it was called like Texas rock star, sometimes good enough is not enough, something like that. She was rejected 9 out of the 11 colleges she applied to. Okay. So it caused every parent stress in America, of course. But I took the time to read the article. I took the time to look up her high school, like I just told you to do. I looked up her school profile. And within a few minutes, it didn't take long, I knew exactly what she had done wrong. Not her fault. I think she was ill-advised. I don't think she certainly didn't come to one of my webinars because she would have figured this out. Okay. So let me break down for you using her as the example so you can see the steps that you need to take to make sure you don't make these mistakes. The first is the college list. Okay, so the college list is you have to do the 30-40-30 rule. Why do you have to do that? Because this girl, Caitlin is her name, will never forget what it feels like to be rejected 9 times. And as a parent, you also will never forget what it feels like to feel the pain of your child. Okay, I'm sure they feel regret also. So the 30-40-30 rule says no more than 30% are my reach and realistic reach schools. 40% should be your 50-50 and target schools, and 30% should be your likely schools. If you need to or want to pull 5 to 7% from the bottom, from the 30% likely, you can move it to the middle, but don't add to the top. Your only goal as a parent is to help your child have success. set them up for success. Now, I believe in dreams, and even some of these young women that you've seen here, Jana and Juliana and Alexis, each of them also were, denied somewhere. So if you're not denied somewhere, you probably didn't apply high enough. That's my opinion. So I believe in the dream, but you want to keep it realistic so that they have success as well. So 30, 40, 30 rule. So to look back here, of the 9 she was rejected from, all 9 of them admitted under 30%. And if I remember correctly, I think all 9 of them admitted under 20%. That is not a recipe for success. That's in fact a recipe for failure. So it doesn't pay to do that. The ego shouldn't come at the beginning, should come at the end. Okay, step 2 is this co-curricular section. So you want to really clearly communicate the involvement versus impact leadership. So I just went over this chart. So as you think through, you're using the common application. They only allow 10 slots to put in the activities sheet. There's 5 more spots for academic honors. So you get a total of 15, but most students are like worried that 10 is not enough for the activities. So this is how you prioritize. Check it against this chart and go, oh, okay, so the low things I don't need to put, or that will be my last choice of what to put in. Okay, so everything 3 and up definitely goes in there. 2, if you're student body president or editor-in-chief, definitely goes there. Okay, but use this as a guide to prioritize what should go and what could be left on the editing floor. Okay, moving on. You have to connect the dots for your reader. The readers only have 6 to 12 minutes to review the entirety of the application. So you have to imagine 60 to 80% of the applicants are qualified. They're all equally academically qualified. So if I'm reading your application, it has to sort of be a symphony. It has to make sense. So oh, I get it. I see it. Otherwise, if it's too confusing, the reader's going to move on. So you have to understand that in California, 5 of the 9 UC campuses receive over 100,000 applications. For all of the Ivy Leagues and all the schools that many of you have mentioned, they're admitting about 10% or just under. So they can't take everyone that's qualified. That's why most people know 1, 2, 3 students who they're shocked that were denied, but every year this happens, okay? So let me give you an example. Caitlin, the Wall Street Journal girl, declared herself as a business major. Okay, great. And the article, according to the article, it said that she had, top grades and all the honors and APs and all the AQs, academic qualities that you can imagine. She was highly involved. She had a job. She was involved on campus. What was she involved in on campus? The performing arts. She spent most of her extra time in performing arts as the director and producer for I think they said 30 shows. Okay. She was highly involved in performing arts. So as an admission officer, I'm going to just tell you that would not make sense. It doesn't connect the dots. I'm looking at this applicant. I see she's perfectly qualified. She's certainly smart. She had all the right 4 data points, quantitative data points. So what gives? Why is she saying she wants to be a business major when everything she's done is performing arts? So that's a fixable thing though. Had she met with me for 10 minutes, I would have said, okay, Caitlin, that's great. You're going to put this here, but you're going to explain and talk about the productions in business terms. Talk about sales and marketing and budgets and leadership, leading a team of a crew, all those things that we think of skills and qualities that we need of a leader in business. Use those terms to describe your activities. Okay, then it would have been at least a better understanding from the perspective of the reader. Okay, everyone knows someone who's been rejected. I told you the story of Cosette and Miles and how one literally was rejected, and one knew someone who was rejected multiple times. Don't worry, this is what happened. So let's finish the story about Cosette. Cosette's mom had watched her daughter go through being rejected as a traditional age senior. And then later, as her first year of community college, she applied again and she got rejected again. So somewhere in the spring of that first year of community college, after getting her news that she was rejected, her mom was on a webinar similar to this, And she just kept saying, I got to help my daughter. It can't be her. And most all of you would say, it can't be my son. It can't be my daughter. Like, they're wonderful. And you know what? I believe you. They are wonderful. But until you understand the recipe, until you understand how to put the recipe together, it can be just a bunch of ingredients. And so what Cosette had been doing was just going through the motions of like, oh, I guess I'll just apply. Her mom said, no, there's got to be a different way. So she signed her up for Dream College Academy, which I'll share with you later. And Cosette followed every single module, did every single thing. And her third time applying, she not only was admitted to her dream college, which is UC Santa Barbara, she was also admitted to Berkeley. She just graduated from Berkeley. Okay, just so you understand, those of you who understand public schools, University of Michigan, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, UT Austin, UCLA, for out-of-state students to be admitted to colleges like that, it's not easy. It's certainly harder and more competitive than if you're in state. So for this young woman to be from Maryland and get admitted to these UCs is amazing. So again, she just needed to figure out what is the recipe and what am I doing wrong? Finally, the last piece is the essays. Most students just don't know what to do or how to do it. So they just need some guidance. Procrastination in this particular sense, like I said, I was paralyzed. Every year I meet other students who are paralyzed because they just feel like, I don't know how to get started. So that's usually the case with the essay. So just remember, you may want to screenshot this and tattoo it or tattoo it to your brain and paste it to the refrigerator. Students are not rejected. Applications are rejected. So you just want to keep that in mind. It's not personal, just like with Cosette. Her mom was like, can't be her. I got to figure this out. So two types of essays that I find when students try to do this on their own. The first one is they write about a common topic. Common topics include, there are many things, but these are the big four: community service, athletics, life challenges, and people. There are definitely ways that you can write a compelling essay. It's just pretty hard because these topics are so common. Okay, so the other type of essay is what I call the kitchen sink essay. And I think because it's become so competitive, is my guess, I think that students are like so nervous, they don't know what to do. And they're just like, I gotta tell him this, and I gotta tell him that. And I, curing cancer, and I started a female empowerment club, and they're like, and I won the trophy. And they just throw everything in, and it's too confusing for the reader. Again, the readers have 6 to 12 minutes to read the entirety of the application, and you don't want them starting to think about what they're going to have for lunch because they're too confused or too bored with the essays at hand. So you want to imagine David, forgetting his last name, but David was a guest of ours a few weeks ago. He used to work at the Princeton admissions office. And he said, admission officers are having these applications for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for like three months in a row. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's true. For breakfast, I was reading applications. For lunch, I was reading applications. For dinner. And he said, I often wanted to just imagine this applicant that I was reading, like, could I imagine them being, someone that I would want to have lunch with, literally. And that is true. The essay is really all about understanding the personality and seeing that come through and thinking, could I imagine this person on my campus? Could I imagine them as a roommate, as a classmate? So that's true. It seems seems too good to be true. Seems too easy. Oh, I found a typo I'm going to fix right now. It's driving me nuts. Okay, so there you go. So at the end of the day, they're not going to remember literally your name, your kid's name, and where they went to school. They're going to sum them up in a few sentences. So I always think you want to think to yourself, okay, what am I trying to convey here? Who am I to this audience? So here's Mateo, and you see he's a soccer player. He's started a 501(c)(3). He gives back to Oakland community, and he's Steph Curry's favorite, #1 fan, right? That's a little like fun factor, like the coolness factor, just fun. Okay. Here's Gianna. She's from Chicago, shares a one bathroom for 5 in her family. She's a champion debater, started a podcast, and aspires to become POTUS. Okay. And then here's Emily, the Orange County gal who educated teens on drunk driving for her Gold Award and aspires to be the first female colonel in her family, long line of colonels in her family, and she'll join the ROTC. Okay. So this just gives you an idea of like, it's just going to come down to just a few sentences. It's not going, they're not going to remember a whole lot. Okay. So step 4 is the celebration plan. And so I just want to, I am that girl, that affirmations and motivation and inspiration. And I do my own set of visualization for myself and my life, but I also share with my private clients. You have to visualize, you have to start speaking in terms of like, this is going to happen when I get admitted, when this happens, when I go to X college, because your brain doesn't know the difference of whether you're telling it a lie or the truth. It assumes that it's truth. So just start speaking it into truth. So I know, right? That crazy Dr. C. Yeah, that's me. That's my niece on the right side having ice cream, and that's my 4-legged son on the left having cake. And that should be your plan for celebration. Okay. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking they're superhuman. They're not. These are just ordinary kids who did extraordinary steps to make their dreams come true. So that's why you're here, to help your child make their dreams come true. So before I go on, I just want to get your permission. I want to share with you how this is possible, and just share with you a little bit of how we work with some of our students to see if it's the right fit for you. So with your permission, just type in the chat the number 1. With your permission, do I have your permission to just for another 5 minutes share with you, what we do and how we help students? Is that good? Is that cool with you? Type the chat number 1 if that's okay with you. Okay, fantastic. Okay. The beginning and opening of my book, I really do believe that, you have to dream the impossible. So I do believe all the things that you want are possible, but you do have to put in the work. So our first thing is that one of the biggest things that we do in the summer as college essay boot camps, we do 5-day camps. But once the summer is over and students are back to school, we do basically have it on demand. So that's on demand, it's online. You can watch everything that we do on your own time because students have crazy schedules once the fall begins. But if you follow the steps of what we do for boot camp, it does increase the chances by 50 to 70%. You're thinking, Dr. C, how can you possibly guarantee that? I'm telling you right now, this process is not hard. It just is time consuming. It is a temporary part-time job, and you have to know what are all the ingredients of the recipe. And once you can build the recipe and bake a cake just like anyone else. There's a formula to everything. So if you follow the formula and do the steps that most teenagers are unwilling to do, you're going to increase your chances. It's not going to solve everything, but you are going to increase your chances. Okay, so what happens in this course? It's from brainstorm to 4 drafted essays in 90 minutes. It's the first module, basically. It's sort of the first few hours of what we do in essay boot camp. Okay, first couple of hours, they're off to the races. They're already starting brainstorming, boom. And they're like, wow, okay. Guided writing exercises from me, the admission expert, and building of a repertoire of 4 to 6 essays to rinse and repeat. We concentrate on 4 types of essays. You may want to write this down. Who am I? What am I good at? What's something cool about me? And why this major? Those are the core 4 signature essay types that we work in our essay camps and in this course as well. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because what happens in camp, students choose to spend 5 days with us during the summer, and they come back every single day. Now, you might be thinking, well, maybe their mom forced them to. Maybe, but I always say no teenager in their right mind of their own volition would come back if they didn't find value and feel like they were getting something done and being productive for their future. So every year we have 5-day camps. It's painful. It's not easy. Everything in this online on demand is what we do in essay camp. So you get the exact 5 steps of training. That's a $39,000 value of all of the videos you can watch over and over again. You get 2 feedback loops, so you can turn in 2 essays to just get feedback from, not a Zoom call, but like we'll give you the feedback and send it back to you. 4 group sessions with myself. Pretty soon we're going to start having our group sessions with our campers and our VIPers and our platinum students as well. So you'll get to join in on that. Your price is $9.97. Again, this is an on-demand. You can do it at your leisure. Okay, but wait, there's more. If you've been thinking to yourself, Wait, there's also, I need to know how to calculate my GPA, how do private schools calculate my GPA? I would like to know how colleges review applications and watch an actual session of watching someone review applications. I would like to know what majors I should be avoiding and what's the alternative. I'd like to know how to contact my person. I'd like to know how to develop a college list more than just what I did. So teacher recommendations, all those things are in Dream College Academy, okay? So all of those modules are here, okay? So if you need all of those steps, you can actually upgrade the 997 and include that, okay? So you get this plus this if you wanted to upgrade. So the link that Daryl's going to share with you in the chat right now is the link to the 997, getting those essays done, because that's the biggest component that takes the most amount of time and the most amount of brain work. So if you're like me, or if your kid is like me, I just like someone to tell me what to do, tell me step by step, give me an example, and show me what to do next every step of the way. And that's, if you can tell, that's how I operate. That's how the class is. So that's the 997, a $45,000 value for 997, but you can upgrade to 597, okay? And you get all those things, and I'll send you a book, the whole thing, okay? Okay, that's it. I want you just to imagine, okay, what's going to happen in the next few months. My God, you guys, the next few months, literally. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause there and just see if you have questions about anything at all. This is really what we do best in terms of, getting students what they need, especially for the essays, but also all of the other components that are part of this. It's a full-time temporary part-time job for the next few months if you are a senior, for sure. Okay, so let's see what questions we have. Oh my gosh, fantastic. Yes. So juniors can, so Maja, just so you know, this is probably the lowest price. You'll see it throughout the year because most people buying it are seniors. And so you get a year, of subscription, but many of the seniors will only be using it for about 6 months. So if you purchased it now, you're ahead of the game and you get a good deal. So yes. Do you have guidance on figuring out a major? So, okay, I'll answer that question. But I feel like I skipped a question earlier. Oh, Mimi signed off, but you see, I don't know if you see that. She says, Dr. C, I need to log off, but one of the best decisions was to sign up for boot camp. So her son took live boot camp. And so, yeah. Okay. I think you guys had some questions that I missed up of. So can the juniors start the process? Yes. Yes. I'll be signing up for essay camp. Yes. Yay. Anne Marie, good job. Congratulations. Do you have guidance on figuring out? Okay. So I'll get now to that question now. So the major, okay. So here's my biggest advice. And it's not going to surprise you once I say it, if you listen to what this tonight was about. Your job as a parent and their job as an applicant, your only job is to figure out how to get into the best college possible. Am I right? Yes? Am I on the right track? Give me a thumbs up if okay, that's the goal, right? So you have to look at what's in front of you. So when I have private clients, when we do the consultation from the very beginning, the first thing I ask is, okay, what is your GPA? So I'm giving you some clues. What's the GPA? So in the intake form, they'll say what the GPA is and what their APs are and what are they interested in studying. And so to give you an example, a student will say, oh, I want to major in a STEM major. Let's say they say biology or chemistry or engineering or something. And I'll say, okay, fantastic. Are there any B's on your transcript? If I were to look at your transcript, are there any B's? And most students have one B or something. Not everybody, but some do, most do. So they'll say yes. And I'll say, okay, great. No worries. Where are your B's? And if the very person who said they want to major in STEM says their B's are in math and science, I say, okay, can we rethink that? Is there another way? Because there's a lot of roads that lead to Rome. You can still get there, but it may not be right away. So with that, what I'm trying to say is this. You have to look at what's in front of you. If all the A's are in humanities, perhaps we need to do humanities as a major. If if all the B's are in humanities, then perhaps we need to do STEM as major. You look at what you have and go, how can I paint a story here? How can I create like what's working and go with that? Okay. So if you sign up and you bump up to the DCA, module 4 gives you a ton of information on how to pick a major, what majors to avoid, and then how that blends into your college list. Okay. All right. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, good. All right. Awesome. Yeah. I know it's even late for, this is the latest event I've ever done, 8 o'clock. That's because I had a board meeting and I couldn't miss it. So I had to push it back. So I'm thankful that even you guys are here still. Okay. Faye, Maja, Edith, and G, any other questions? I was going to say something else and I feel like it flew out of my head. How do we reach out to you? Okay. Daryl, can you put a link to the, schedule an appointment?
Okay, got it sent.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Maja, he'll put the link. So those of you who have, what types of essays did you mention that they should think about? Oh, so there are 4. Who am I? What am I good at? What's something cool about me and why this major? So the essay camp, of the on-demand that's available now, the on-demand version walks students through understanding those 4 types, and the brainstorm exercise, everything, all the exercises lead back to coming back to those four. Why do I say those 4? That's what we've been living with for many years now. We've been doing camp since 2003. It's team-proof, battle-tested, guys. I'm telling you, it works. We just were at Linwood High School, or I'm sorry, Firebar High School today, doing it for students who don't have as many resources. And even they were like, oh my God, this works. So they got it. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so those of you who have seniors, if you don't know, if you haven't realized this yet, students have to come up with one personal statement for the common application. And then for every college they're applying to, they'll need to submit an additional 3 to 5 more supplemental essays. Okay, so parents aren't really completely aware of that. And it's like a shock and surprise at how many essays. I have one private client who's keeps a tally of how many for all the, and he's up above 50 essays. Now we teach you in the class that if you follow this 4 formula, then you're going to be able to rinse and repeat. Okay. There are probably an additional 1 or 2 other essays that I work with my private clients on is to add to that, but you should need like a repertoire of 6 to 8 to get through everything. Don't reinvent the wheel every time you answer another question. Okay. That's not a good idea. Okay. Thank you. Is it not okay to apply ED to any schools thinking about several EA? Yeah. So, okay, good. So I'll answer both of these at the same time. So, early, getting thirsty. Early act. So, Daryl, just type into the chat these letters. There is EA, early action. There is ED, early decision. And there is REA. Okay. Did you get that, Daryl? Or someone? Okay. EA, ED, and REA. Early action is, the deadline is typically November 1 or November 15th, and you get a decision somewhere by January, or sometimes before the holidays. And if you're admitted, you do not have to decide whether you're going there or not. You don't have to commit to going there or not. Okay. It's like getting an engagement ring, but you don't have to actually answer the proposal yet. Okay. So that's EA. ED is I'm applying November 1st, November 15th, and this is my first choice. And if I'm admitted, I'm committing. If I get a ring, I'm going. I'm saying yes. Okay. REA, restrictive early action, and I'm going to tell you that's, I think it might be Harvard and Yale and Stanford, probably Princeton too. No, I think Princeton's ED. So there are a few schools that do REA, which means restrictive early action, which means you can apply there as early action. So you can get a ring possibly, and you don't have to decide right away, but you cannot apply other EAs. So EA, or just regular EA, you can apply to multiple EAs. You can apply to like 5 EAs if you wanted to, okay? But REA says you can apply to us early action, but you can't apply any other private schools. So you can do Yale REA, I think, so yeah, I'm pretty sure it's REA. Stanford, I know, is REA. And you can then also apply to Michigan, for example. Okay. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay. All right. It's 9 o'clock here, you guys. I know wherever you are, it's late. I'll take one or two more. Well, let me ask you this. First of all, what did you hear me say today? I'm asking for 2 reasons. Selfishly, I've been tweaking with this new presentation. It's sort of my like new fall of 2024 presentation. And I feel like I'm finally hitting the mark and hitting the points that you need to know and a few steps to take. So, but any feedback you can tell me. What did you hear me say? What was the most important piece of information I gave you tonight? If you don't mind sharing. Yeah, the hierarchy chart. Yep. Yep. Because it makes it so clear, I think. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, of a story and the connecting of the dots is critical. Yep. Okay, good for you. Good, thank you. How to craft the essays. Yep. Amazing. The types of essays. Okay, good. The application plan. Yeah. So I would of course I recommend the offer that we gave. Daryl, if you want to just put the essay on demand link one more time. Honestly, if you I think it's the best deal especially if you upgrade, because I re-recorded module 4 with all of the majors and the college list and all the behind the scenes stuff. Like module 4 is that now one of my favorite, and I redid the resume section, module 3 as well, including the hierarchy chart. And then also, if you're going through the process now, module 6 is all about teacher recommendations, how to get what you want and need from each teacher. So if you haven't figured it out, what's different about us is that we leave nothing to chance. I absolutely leave nothing to chance. I make sure all my students have all of the information they need to make good choices, to get ahead and to even have almost full control over what a teacher will write. So we give very specific instructions. If you have the book, go to chapter 6 and it gives you a pretty good layout of the application plan. So it's a good start, but nothing like all the videos and all the templates that you get to go with what to do with the teacher and all that stuff. So much more behind the scenes in the modules. Okay. All right, guys. Oh, I should look and see other questions. Can you email us the deal kindly? So yeah, so Daryl and our team, Daryl and Stephanie, will follow up with you guys in the next couple of days to send the link to get the deal. Time is ticking. Basically, you're if you have November 1st deadline, you're about 45 days away. So I would definitely get on it. Okay. Any other questions that I missed here? Okay, awesome. Lovely to meet you all. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Oh, I should say, oh my gosh, I forgot to say, tomorrow we are running workshops. We call them Truth Talk workshops. And I had a different schedule for tomorrow. So 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock tomorrow. Tomorrow will be different. And as much as we're going to, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to avail myself to any students who want to bring their students or parents who want to bring their essays and have me do on the spot feedback. So it's free if you're brave enough to do it. But I am real and raw and candid with advice, because most people, once they find me, I don't have time. We don't have time. If you're 45 days away, it's better that I just give it to you with a whole lot of love and rah, but I'll give it to you straight. So if you want to take advantage of that offer, that's what we're doing tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm saying the times in Pacific time. So 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock Pacific time. Okay. All right. Bye now. Lovely to meet you guys.
Here's the truth. For nearly 30 years, I have worked at elite private colleges and/or private high schools. I know what well-resourced families do to ensure college success, and I can tell you, if your child is enrolled at a public or religious high school, chances are she or he is already 5 steps behind. However, today is your lucky day. To get you ahead of your private school peers, I have a gift for you. I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit to get your copy. I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review the entire application. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are actually made, you're not alone. Take action now to get 5 steps ahead and begin increasing those acceptance letters. Again, that's Dr. Cynthia Colon, drcynthiacolon.com/admit. That is all I have for you today, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to Destination University. I'm Dr. Cynthia Colon. If this episode has in any way helped, fueled, or inspired you, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. You can subscribe to Destination University wherever you get your podcast. And while you're there, leave us a review. It sure does help a lot. By subscribing and reviewing, you help to grow the community of informed families across the nation. And if you haven't binge listened to our previous seasons, do it. With each episode, you'll learn a new tip, trick, or strategy for success. Start with episode 1, the one word every parent should remove. You'll learn my mom's secret to ensuring college success for her daughters. And once again, if you found value today, please share this episode with 3 families in the next 30 minutes. I'll be sure to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Colon again and get one step closer to your success.